Alright, imagine standing on a quiet beach, watching the ocean water pull back so far into the horizon that the seafloor is completely exposed. To the untrained eye, it looks like the water is just disappearing. But to anyone who knows the ocean, that massive historic retreat means only one thing. A gargantuan wave is building just out of sight, preparing to rush back with unbelievable force. Right now, in the first week of this month of June 2026, XRP is experiencing that exact same phenomenon on the financial charts. We are currently witnessing one of the deepest, most extreme relative strength index resets in the entire history of this digital asset. The momentum has been completely drained from the room. Sentiment is totally in the gutter, but while the average retail crowd is panicking and assuming XRP is dead, a legendary chart structure is quietly holding its ground in the background. So in this video, we are diving into a groundbreaking piece of analysis shared by the widely followed crypto analyst EGRAG CRYPTO. He has logged the historical cycles of XRP and discovered a pattern that suggests this current exhaustion phase is actually the final step before a legendary market expansion. So let's stripe away the noise, ignore the panic, and look at what is truly happening beneath the surface of the XRP ledger. Alright, so let's start with why is this current RSI reset being called historical. To truly understand the gravity of this situation, we have to look at what the relative strength index or RSI actually measures. All right, it keeps tracks of the velocity and magnitude of price movements. When it's high, the asset is white hot. When it's low, it means the asset has been sold off aggressively. Right? Analyst EGRAG CRYPTO pointed out that this current cycle has pushed the RSI into an unbelievable deep, extreme reset zone. It is a level of exhaustion we rarely see in crypto. As a seasoned market observer, my personal opinion on this is very clear. This isn't a sign of failure. It is a sign of ultimate capitulation. When the RSI gets reset this deeply, it means the market has effectively flushed out every single weak hand, every leverage traders, and every impatient speculator. So to me, this extreme reset is a gift. It creates a completely clean slate. The market has ground down the public's emotions to absolute zero. And historically, that is exactly where the absolute best risk to reward opportunities are born. Right? Now, what is the famous 1, 2, 3 structure, and is it still alive? Right? The 1, 2, 3 structure. Despite the fact that the price has been heavily suppressed and momentum looks broken, the larger macro structure of XRP has remarkably refused to snap. EGRAG CRYPTO's charting layout relies heavily on a historical sequence known as 1, 2, 3 structure. This is a recurring 3-point foundational base that XRP has used in previous multi-year cycles to build its launchpad. Even with the intense selling pressure we've seen recently, this structural sequence remains perfectly intact. The analyst notes that if we treat this recent deep dive as the secondary retest within the sequence, the entire macro bull thesis is completely validated. Looking at this as a market observer, my personal take is that structure always trumps temporary momentum. Momentum is emotional. It shifts with the daily noise and random tweets. Structure, however, represents where the giant institutional money and long-term whales are actually defending the asset. The fact that the macro structure hasn't broken tells me that the big players are quietly holding the line. They are letting the retail crowd panic sell into their buy walls. This 1-2-3 structure is acting like a massive concrete foundation. And you don't build a massive foundation unless you plan on building a skyscraper on top of it. Alright? Now, why is the 44 green line the most important level on the chart? If you are looking for a definitive signal that the tides are turning, you need to keep your eyes on one specific horizontal line highlighted by EGRAG CRYPTO. And that is the green line sitting at an RSI reading exactly 44, right? Waiting to reclaim the green line at 44. So let's go back on the chart. Right now, the RSI is hovering underneath this level, trapped in that extreme reset zone. The analyst explicitly stated that he is waiting to reclaim this green line because crossing back above 44 is the technical confirmation that momentum is shifting back into the bull's favor. Above that, XRP will face a cluster of minor resistance checkpoints at 53.04 right here, and 54, and then 55.45. My personal opinion on this 44 line is that it represents the border between the bears territory and the bulls territory. Right now, the bears are exhausted from pushing the price down, and the bulls are just waiting for the right catalyst to step back. Reclaiming the 44 RSI line will be flipping a massive switch. Once we cross it, it triggers automated trading algorithms and momentum indicators worldwide to flash green buy signals. It is the definitive line in the sand, and once it's broken, the journey through those higher resistance levels could happen much faster than people think. Now, can XRP really mirror the massive peaks of past cycles? The most exciting part of this entire historical analysis sits on the far right side of the data, where a massive projection arrow points straight toward an RSI reading of 80, right here. In prior market cycles, whenever XRP finished one of these deep, painful sentiment-destroying resets, the ensuing recovery didn't just crawl back up. It exploded vertically straight into overbought territory, hitting those high 80 levels and printing massive multi-X returns for patient holders. So as a dedicated market observer, my personal belief is that history doesn't just repeat itself, but it certainly rhymes. The crowd always forgets how fast XRP can move when it finally decides to run. Because it has such deep liquidity and unique global utility, it acts differently than typical retail meme coins. When the momentum shifts from an extreme low to an extreme high, the upside velocity can catch the entire market off guard. Reaching an RSI of 80 is not just a pipe dream. It is the natural mathematical target when an asset snaps back from being historically oversold. To bring this all together into an overall conclusion, we are looking at a classic battle between short-term panic and long-term data. The market has successfully crushed the daily momentum and broken the spirits of impatient traders, but it has completely failed to break the macro structure of XRP. The deepest RSI reset in history has created emotional exhaustion, but the historical 1-2-3 structure remains entirely intact. The game plan from here is incredibly simple. Ignore the daily noise, monitor the macro setup, and watch for the moment XRP reclaims that crucial 44 green line. The tide has pulled back an incredible distance, and the structural data suggests that the return wave will be a historic one. Alright, and this finally ends our video. Thank you very much for watching, and see you on the next one. But you might just as well check this recommended video right here.